Abraham, man, would you do it? Yes or no?
Yeah, if I'm with Tilsa. If my wife is coming with me, yeah, we have kids, so if the kids are coming too, yeah, I would go there with my
With the
family
kids?
for a year. Yeah, why not? For a year, I would go there with my family for a year, and if I can drop the kids by grandma, nah, I don't think I'll leave my kids for a year. That's I just forgot, but I would
Ah,
go there with my family for a year with kids
'cause
optional. Yes, yeah, for sure. No TV, no phone, no Netflix, social media, or nothing. Yes, of course, I would go there for yes, no doubt, no
well,
questions asked. I don't
what's
care. I would
I don't
go.
know about the kids. I mean, I don't got kids yet, but I would definitely,
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
do
for
that. That
sure.
would be 100% yes from me to the poll of the day.
Okay, but
But
let's do a twist. What if you have to fetch your own food?
I don't know. I think I'm still down. If I have a conversation with Brenda, to see if we can
I'm
maybe
not.
learn some stuff
There's a little
before we
boat right
do
there.
it, you know what? We take
Listen,
a
if there's
book. A lot of recipes in books nowadays, you just buy some books there, and I maybe, I mean, it'll have to be obviously some recipes of like maybe some wild animals, a lot of wild fish. I don't know, man, but I think I'd be down, man.
just fish and fire, like fish and fire. That's all you need. You can survive. There's coconut trees down there. There's like that's all you need to survive. All seafood.
Listen, what's up,
All good.
everybody? Welcome to the Bendito Show. We are glad that you guys have tuned in tonight. This is episode 13, and it's a very interesting one because we're going to be talking about love tonight. In fact, I'm about to just change my lights here a little bit, make it a little red in here. I don't know if y'all can even see that, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna get hot in here. Brenda said it's gonna look a little evil, but I don't know. You know what? I'm excited for today. Abraham, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm excited for this topic too. Like I've thought a lot about it, and there's a lot of great things we have to share today with everybody on this topic. Is it better to be single and married, single and mingle, or married and bonded? Like Teal says, she already said like I'd be married and bonded. She prefers it, but
That's
let's
yeah,
see what
and
everybody
that's the
says.
question, y'all. Tonight, what really is it? Is it better to be single? Is it better to be married in this one life that we have here on Earth? We could obviously take a look at what Scripture says, but hey, you know what? We also got some stats that we can show y'all later today, and I think we'll have a very interesting
Beautiful.
conversation. But listen, Abraham, before we get into that, it's important to talk about the news because honestly, this question that we asked about going a year without TV, phone, and all that is because I was thinking, man, today Rogers was out. I had a pretty interesting day because I was starting a new job and I texted my manager and my manager didn't get that text. And then apparently he tried to text me and call me. And so then he emailed me saying, hey, did you change your phone number? What's going on? And I was like, hey, man, like if you don't like, it looks like there's an outage. And so I kind of started off maybe on the wrong foot there,
You
but
didn't start.
it's
That's
all
the
right.
problem.
He noticed right away, and so he gave me some slack there. But nah, I actually had a pretty good experience today. Listen, you know what? I was looking online, and I don't know, Abraham, do you follow any like memes? Like, do you follow
I don't
like one of those
follow
like
them, but
Instagram
I don't follow
pages?
them, but I follow a lot of people that follow them. So when they like something, I see the memes, and some of them are funny, some of them are not, some of them are disgusting,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Listen, I
that
gotta I gotta
happens.
ask a question. Is there a limit, guys, in terms of making fun? Because I love this page, right? This is the Epic Christian Memes on Instagram. Whatever, they have some wild things here, and sometimes it cracks me up. Like I saw this shoe here, and then they put that face. I was like, oh man, that's pretty funny. But is there some stuff that we just can't like joke around? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna play a video right now. Y'all tell me what you guys and how y'all feel about it.
Drink?
Oh, hold on. Let me play it from
Oh,
the top.
can I get you guys anything to drink?
Um, we'll just we'll just have water.
Okay. I'll be right back with those. Can I get you guys any?
Did you get this? Like when Jesus
I,
and the boys go out, and the girl's just asking like if they would want water, and like they're just cracking up. I was like, I was like, this is. I get it is funny,
Nah,
but like,
for me, anything that
does this
you use in
does this
Jesus
pass?
for,
Does this pass the line for you, Abraham?
no, yeah, wait. Whew. As soon as the dude is dressed up like Jesus, that's past the line, and
Yeah.
he's not doing it for like a church drama or something. Um, see, this is a good one. Here you go, like Mr. Sidehugs. That's a good one. But like anything, like I mean, you can't take the name of the Lord in vain,
All right.
much
This
less
is
the
my
image
last
of the
one.
Lord. I've seen this one before too.
Come on now. What's going on here? It seems like COVID is taking this kid, and Jesus shows up.
The first time I saw that,
Raises his hand.
I thought it was the devil. Like, why they make COVID look like the devil?
What is going on?
You see, that's not bad. That's not bad.
God.
That's just saying, Jesus has power over COVID. But like the first one, Tins is saying that's an inside joke for Christians. I don't get I don't get the inside joke. Like, why? Because they didn't ask for wine. Like, I don't get to explain the joke to us. But yeah, anything you use, like if you use Jesus' image on anything, I tend to sway away from it or using it. Like use somebody else, like use Peter, Paul, or like use somebody else. But Jesus is God, right? So you got to be careful with what you do.
Interesting conversation. I mean, I just saw it, kind of as I was scrolling through Instagram, and I was like, I wonder what everybody else thinks about this, because it's true. You know what? We try to be like funny, here and there, and make some jokes and stuff. But I don't know. Are we being too religious? Are we being too religious? Like,
if they wanted to.
Is Jesus like cracking up?
If they wanted to make it funny, because okay, maybe they were saying, "Oh, we'll just have water, and then Jesus is gonna turn it into wine." That's what they're trying to say. But if they wanted to make it funny, why didn't he ask for just a piece of bread and a piece of fish? Like if they wanted to make it funnier or something, I just why use Jesus? Why use Jesus? For me, it's too much, but for some people, it might not be. For me, it's just too much.
Abraham, tell me a little bit about this again as we're talking about the news here. This beautiful picture here.
You guys probably saw this, and I said we'll talk about it. You guys probably saw this today. Hillary posted this. Hillary Pena, she's one of the young people from our church. She painted the top painting. Okay, the top painting is her painting. Now the one on the bottom was featured today on Breakfast Television. It's not the same painting. However, it looks exactly the same. So I texted her, I'm like, Hillary, you painted this? She's like, yeah, but the one on the news is not my painting. Then she told me a whole story. So she had to do a school project, and then she decided to make this painting. So she painted it, and then she said she's going to give it to her mom. When the painting came out, like the way that it came out so good. Some of her teachers tried to buy it from her and whatever. She was telling me even one of the teachers was like, harassing her sister or something to get the painting. Like, your sister sell it to me, and she didn't even inquire how much it was for because she wanted to give it as a present to her mom. So it's a great way to honor her mom. But like Hillary, man, that's like, or a woman like that. That's a great painting. Like, Hillary got skills. Like, you scroll up a little bit so we can see the top. Like, Hillary got skills on that painting. Like, that painting is amazing. Look at the detail on that. I didn't know that
we got so many talented people.
We got so many talented people. Like, I know Kathy Ayala also does a lot of paintings and a lot of nice things. So, like, kudos to her. I just wanted to show you.
This is the question that we need. Like, so did somebody take credit for it? Like, we need a little bit of clarity.
I don't know what happened. I think what happened was that another student maybe saw a picture of the same picture that Hillary saw, a picture of her painting, and then so I didn't ask her what happened. If she's there watching, she can tell us what happened. Did somebody take credit for your painting and they are there trying to sell your painting? You never know.
Well, listen, I mean, I think I'm good for today. I mean, I wanted to talk a little bit about DMX, the rapper, passing last week, but maybe we'll leave it for the next, on Thursday. I think I want to show a video, but I don't think we have time anymore because there's a lot of
Thursday because we can talk about if he was saved or not. Like, there's a lot around that.
Yeah, and really the question that I had is, how do we trust anybody and anything that comes out with the Christian label? I'm not knocking DMX here or anything like that, but even before I saw that video, I was questioning, we obviously have a lot of these artists, as we've been talking about before, that come out as Christian, and then they release maybe a Christian, track, but then everything else that they're doing is, full on evil. So I want to talk about the dangers of the Christian label. But I think we could even leave that for a topic in its own. today we got some much I think in a heated discussion we can absolutely get. But bro, the question is it better to be single or married? And I guess I don't know. We're definitely gonna have some sort of bias to this, right? Because I mean, I'm married, you're married,
Yeah.
and so I mean, I think we have very obvious answers, but I don't want to tackle it like that, y'all.
No,
I think we.
my answer is not that obvious. Like I'm
It's not.
married, I get it, but it's
Huh?
not that obvious.
It's not that
It
obvious.
it all depends. It all depends.
Oh, it
So
all
let's go. We'll
depends.
go from there. We'll go from it all depends, and we'll
Okay.
tackle it.
Okay. And so I think the best way then would be let's start about, talking about those advantages of being single.
Single.
Like the
Mm.
advantages of being single. I mean, I'll say this from the studies that I was doing here, it looks like as time goes on, more and more people are, taking more time to get into marriage. So, like, for
Yeah.
example, if you look 50, 100 years ago, people were getting married younger. Now, and I'm seeing it here in the US Census, okay, there's a number that's literally been rising every single year. And people are staying single longer than ever before. And
Yeah.
that is literally growing. And so, right now, the median age is you are going to be 30 years old when you're as a man to get married, and 28 years old as a woman. Okay,
Right.
so if you're around that number and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm still single, you're not the only one. Like this is like happening
Yeah.
in a widespread scale. So there's clearly something going on here, right?
Like
Like,
you got to wait. Like I mean, I don't know if our girl Cynthia is on, but she recently got engaged, and she's probably 28, 29. Like I don't know how Cynthia is. Maybe younger, maybe older. But what I'm saying is that it all depends. Okay, so
okay.
single people. Advantages of being single.
Mm,
You could have a lot of female friends.
okay.
You can have a lot of female friends.
Okay.
That's an advantage. I'm not saying you're going to sow your royal oats everywhere. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can have
You're
a
gonna
lot of
what?
sow your royal oats. You don't know that, right? You're too young
Wow.
for that reference.
Wow. No, I
What
get it.
that
I get it.
that's coming to America. That's from the 80s. Sow
Listen,
your
listen.
royal oats. But
The way I'd say it is, you got more time to develop friendships and relationships. Right?
you're right. But so by sow your royal oats, I mean you're not gonna go sleep around everybody, right? That's what I mean.
Mm.
So what I'm saying is that if you're single, you can have a lot of friends from the opposite sex, right? I said female because I'm a male, but you can have a lot of friends from the opposite sex and get to know different people, right? That's an advantage. Get to know
For
different
sure.
people. You don't have to date them, but you can get to know different people.
Yeah.
The other advantage is that
But hold on. Let's stay. Are
keep
you
going.
keeping it on that one? Because developing those friendships and relationships, like, is that where you were going to continue?
No, I was going to just list out all my advantages.
Oh
of being
no, man!
single.
Because that one's huge. Because the thing is, a lot, even right now in the pandemic, right? Maybe a lot of people are feeling lonely, and maybe there's reasons to that externally from them, but also within ourselves, we have to find it a little bit more, to develop those friendships, to develop that, the people that you
Yeah.
surround yourself with. And like I feel like it's so key that it's just important to kind of nail it down in there and be like, well, who are the closest people to you as a single person right now? I feel like it's a good question that people need to ask them.
By
But
single, I mean not in a relationship, not in a boyfriend-girlfriend
yeah,
relationship. You're
yeah.
single.
That's what I'm saying. That's
You're
what I'm
single.
saying. Look, you get to find out about different backgrounds, because that's the other thing that we have here in Canada. Right? If you lived in
Yeah.
Dominican, you only get Dominican. If you're here in Canada, hey, I married an Ecuadorian. Like, you got a lot
everything.
of options, and maybe y'all got your preferences and stuff like that, right? But hey, during that time that you're single and maybe you're looking, or at least you're maybe not looking
Right,
for
right.
a relationship, but maybe even in your friendship,
You're just learning about people. You're just
you
learning.
get to
Okay,
learn
so
about so many diverse
you learn. Yeah, you're
backgrounds.
just learning about people. So you can. That's an advantage of being single without becoming unholy, right? Because what happens is that we discussed it already. Boys and girls can't be friends. They get too close, and then they fall in love and whatever. That's not what I'm saying. Real friendships, not so close that you're going out with this person all the time, but it's a friend that you talk to and you hang out with ever so often,
Bro,
and you can get to know a lot of people.
should we compare it right away to being married though? Because is this not something possible through marriage?
No. After you're married,
That's the thing.
after you're married, why?
Once you're married, you don't
You,
make any
you
more friends.
no, you make
Nah,
friends, but you make other friends that are married. Like you make friends, but
exactly.
you're not
Yeah.
do because remember, if you're single and you're making all these friends, your intention is to learn the cultures and learn. It's part of your due diligence, right? When you're
Yeah.
single, and that was part of my other point. You have to do your due diligence, and we'll get to that later. But your intention is, let me find out,
Mm.
you know, about girls from this side or guys from that side. Let me
Yes.
find out about
Yes.
different
You can
cultures
explore a
to
little
see
bit.
what happens. Some people
Yeah.
off the bat would say like, I wouldn't marry this type of person because they've had a bad experience with that culture.
Man,
Why would you
judgmental,
do
man.
that? Don't be judgmental,
I'm kidding.
right?
I'm kidding. Everybody
Anyway,
has their
so
preferences. But look,
everybody
I'm not saying you can't make friends after marriage, and that's a straight up lie. You could absolutely keep building relationships, but the
you can
reality
make
is
friends. There's
that
different
you
types
don't
of
have
friends,
you don't have the same time to develop those, right?
and,
Because the
and
thing
your
is,
intention and your
because
intentions cannot be the same.
exact, right? Because your priority is this one
Yeah,
person now,
yeah,
right? And then if you're single, you don't have to have that priority of that one person. Like that's just a straight up fact, right? Abraham,
that's
what were
right.
you? What keep going
Okay,
with your list,
so
man?
the next, like things are like Abraham got a whole list. People on the chat, you guys let us know, what do you think
Hey,
is an advantage of being single?
y'all,
Like,
if anybody's out there, I would love to take a call today. I would love to
yeah,
hear
we got
because
that
you know
phone
what?
system set
We
up.
got the phone system back. Y'all can call us. I
That's
want to hear
right.
if y'all what your thoughts are. Is it better to be single or married? It doesn't matter if you're single right now. It doesn't matter if you're taken. I would love to hear some of them thoughts. But
Yeah,
Abraham,
let
keep
me
going,
tell
bro.
you, another advantage of being single is you can pick and choose.
Ooh,
You can pick and choose. You can pick and choose. You can say,
you
pick
trying to
and
say you
choose.
can be picky?
Yes, you can be picky. You can
Okay.
pick and choose. Like, Stephanie saying, not sharing my money. That's a good one. That's a good one. But
Hey,
that she not sharing her money. Like, you can be
yeah.
picky, right?
What
Like,
are the advantages of being single? Drop them down there in the
that,
comments.
that's it. You can be picky. You can be picky about who you talk to or
Yeah.
whatever. Like who you have with. Like you can be really picky. That's a big advantage I find
Look.
when you're being because remember we're married. Like I've been happily married for 15 years, 7 months, 5 days, 6 hours and 32
Mm,
seconds.
mm,
So I'm happily
mm.
married, but 14 years. Sorry, but whatever. I used to be single, right? And I know the
Yeah.
advantages of being single. And that's why I'm telling single people, embrace your singleness, okay? Embrace your
Mm.
singleness. Don't go
Okay.
rushing into it, and we'll talk about it later. But those are the two advantages that I had, actually. I didn't have a whole list.
So
One is
look,
that you can meet a lot of people, and two is that you can pick and choose.
in terms about the advantages, and you're saying pick and choose there, and you have kind of more time. I think it really is about you, and I'm not trying to sound like super like selfish or anything like that, but you can learn so much about yourself. And this is something so key, because I feel that like some people kind of miss out on that.
Mm,
They don't get to find out what they even like. They don't get to find out,
right,
what they can do in this world, in terms of wow, like we all have a
right,
special
right,
calling from God. Like we all got a special calling from God. And this is something that maybe we could talk about when we're talking about the marriage thing is that
right.
but when you got that special calling from God and you meet up with somebody and you guys are now, you have your project, she has her project, and you
Yeah,
guys are
you
you
can
guys are
merge
now
them.
going to build
Yeah,
together this massive, awesome project all for God, serving God together and everything. And there's beauty in that. But I feel like as an individual being single, that's your moment, I think, to learn about that calling. Like it's that moment to spend some, really kind of digging in and
yeah,
seeing, wow, like God, like, what is it that I can do on this earth here to bring you glory and to bring, purpose to my life. And I feel like that's key, bro. Like I feel like some people don't learn enough about themselves. I mean, maybe some some of the guys are being like, "Yo, I know way too much about myself. It's time for me to learn about more." But here's a prime example.
let's,
Not just about learning
mm,
about yourself, but also your health, bro. You have more time, and there's literally studies out there.
yeah,
I'm
to go
gonna
to
say
the
it right now.
gym.
I'm saying it right here. Look, research suggests that unmarried people tend to be healthier than their married counterparts. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm married. I know there's a lot of married people out there
Well,
that are.
that
Hey,
research is inaccurate, but
listen. It says here. People who were single and had never married exercise more frequently every week than married folks in a survey over 13,000 people. All right, and
that's
it
because
go ahead.
That's because they're frustrated and they think they have to be in shape to find somebody.
Nah. Hey, I don't know
They ain't
what the
got no
reason is,
game.
but I'm thinking it's the time, bro. I'm thinking it's the time where you
Yeah,
just
it could
got more time. Like you can, you're not prioritizing anybody else. It's literally
right.
just you.
And that's what I was gonna say. Part of being single is that that's your priority. It's your priority. Plus, although a lot of married guys say this is not the case, or a lot of married women also say this is not the case.
Yeah.
If you're single, you don't have to report to anybody.
Mm.
Okay, if you're single and you're old enough, like when I was single, I had to report to my parents, and then after I got old enough, I didn't have anybody to report to. Like
Mm.
if you're single, you out there, you could go to any whatever you like. There's no where you at or this. You ain't got to
You
report to
so
nobody.
you're saying that you can get in trouble and get away with it, basically.
Well, you don't even have to. How you gonna get in trouble? Nobody has to know. Like you're doing you. When you're single, you do you, right? And the other big advantage is that you serve. So we can't keep the Christianity out of this. Paul said, single people occupy themselves in Christ.
Mm.
So think of all the things that you could serve and do as a single person. That's why when I see all these single people, they're not doing nothing in the church. Like, how you single, you're not doing nothing in the church.
Yeah.
I'm married,
Yeah.
I got kids, I'm doing all these things in church. You single, you're not doing nothing. You should be like, in the Dominican, there was this guy who he had keys to the church. This dude used to be up in the church every day, just
Yeah.
praying, cleaning, doing this, doing that, whatever. He used to sleep in. He just dedicated to the church. He got married. That dedication is gone because once you get married, your dedication is to God. So there are advantages of being single. You know, things are saying you can travel, discover career choices. You can do a lot of things when you are single. Now, I don't know if you have anything else to say about single people because I'm
No,
done with the single
you know, I mean, the last thing I'll say about this, and no, we could definitely keep going. I had some more stuff here because you know what you're gonna hear out there in the mainstream kind of Christian world is that this is your season. You know, this is your time. I don't know what else do like I guess common expressions of you if you want to make it to marriage, then you have to kind of plant
right,
now and then
right,
sow
right.
kind of later and stuff like that. Those are all, they have a lot of truths to it. But as a segue now to this whole, is marriage better? I gotta say sometimes it doesn't always turn out how those expressions are. It doesn't always turn out like the
Yeah,
mainstream media kind of puts it. And that goes both ways, right? Like mainstream says, you get married and all your problems are going to get resolved in terms of, the lust that you have inside of you, in terms of the
yeah,
passions that you have. You get married and that's it. It's all going to get solved. And on the flip side of that, if you haven't been or sorry, I mean I almost got lost there, but on the flip side of that is if you are taking care of one thing, then everything else is taken care of. For
right,
example,
right, right.
it's just what I'm trying to say is like what you hear out there in the world in terms of the
It's
single
not,
kind
that's
of
not
season.
reality.
It's
That's not
not
reality.
always
That's not reality.
reality. And
No, no,
my
it's not reality.
example is, for example, like when I was in high school, man, I already had it in my heart that I wanted to get married young. And some people have that too. Like some
Yeah,
people, you can make yourself kind of this idea in your head and say, well, you know what?
yeah,
At this age, this is going to happen. And at this age, this other thing is going to happen. But
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what?
yeah.
It doesn't have to happen that way, but it could. And that's
It
why I'm
could.
saying is that you can't always just go off of what you hear one speaker out there say, and that person maybe has been single their whole life. Or then you hear this other speaker and they've been married for 40 years and you're just like, well, why can't I have that? All I got to say is as we segue now into marriage, we got
Okay,
to
but
take everything
I'll
with a
tell
grain
you
of
this.
salt.
I'll tell you this. Before we get into marriage, this is the point. You have to enjoy being single. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, but you travel, serve, do everything you're gonna do as a single person, right? No ties because you're single. Now, as we segue into marriage, when you're going to get married and you decided, well, I'm at the age where I think I can start dating for marriage, do your due diligence. And you should have been taking notes from all the friends that you had, which culture you like, if you're, like, if you, let me use a Dominican example so that nobody says that I discriminate. Okay. If you don't like Dominican food, okay, don't marry a Dominican because I'm Dominican so that nobody feels offended, right? If you don't like Dominican food, you tasted it, you don't like it.
Come on now, you can learn to grow.
No,
That's what I'm saying,
no,
bro.
hold on. I'm saying as a dude, like if you don't like Dominican food, right? And you gonna expect your spouse who's Dominican to cook. She can learn to cook other stuff. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen. It happens. She can learn to cook other stuff. But if you expect her to cook other stuff all the time, and she's grown Dominican, and that's what you have to get to know each other. So do your due diligence.
Well, hold on. In terms of getting to know each other, what do you think is the ideal time? Oh, and I don't know if you want to answer this right now, but what do you think is the ideal time of dating?
The ideal time of dating?
Like, how long do you think you should date somebody?
Before you get married, it all depends on the age, but I would say between 2 years and 4 years. Anything less, I think is not enough, and anything more is just dangerous. And some people have dated for years. But
I think if you find the one, you can get married in less than a year.
Yeah, if you find the one, I'm not saying that, but
and when I say the one, I mean
unless God speaks to you and say, "Oh yes, this is the one, my son. Marry this one, or my daughter, marry that guy." How you know she's the one? You need time to learn her. Like you need time, right? You need time to learn.
You gotta do your homework, like Abraham said. You gotta do your due diligence. I dated my husband 8 years before I got married.
You see, that's a long time.
Stephanie checked every little box that she could to see if this was the one.
You have to do your due diligence, and you have to do your research, right? You have to research the family, you have to research the culture, and then you have to pray, because once you're over on this side, once you're married, like there's no going back.
I had a conversation with somebody once, and I won't say the name, but they told me if you are with the one of, let's say you're 21 years old and you're with a girl and she's let's say 19 years old, and you guys are dating for 5 years, for 6 years, for 7 years. If the dating becomes so long, don't you think that another one is going to pop in either his or her life, like another solid option?
No, that's not, because when you find the one, you find the one, and when you know the one is the one for both of you. So the reason why dating longer is dangerous is because from a Christian perspective, you could fall into fornication because you get comfortable with each other. Right? So you get so comfortable, and then you move out, she moves out, you have your own place, and she's coming over to watch Netflix, to watch a movie or whatever. And it gets dangerous. Like, you gonna tell me, some people might say it, but some people might say, like, you could hang out with somebody else. Like, you could hang out with someone, right? And be like, hang out with them by themselves and not do nothing. But somebody who you trust, somebody who you love, you're gonna be hanging out with them by yourself. Right, and then you get comfortable. You get in your PJs, and he's in his sweats, and
everybody's in their PJs and sweats, bro. It's the pandemic.
Like you got to pray. There's a comment there. I think you need to pray before anything else, not before. Yes. No, so I'm not. Yes. It's not in order. So it's not order of you got as a Christian. You got to. I take it for given that you are already praying.
Yeah, and
right?
we have the scripture. That we wanted to reference, but we wanted to leave it to the end. Keep going.
When I'm saying pray, I'm saying you found somebody who you like, right?
Yeah.
Then you start praying, because first of all you start praying for people who you made for what you want. Like, you have your list. God, this is my list of 10 things that I want. Then when you find that person who you think is potentially the person, you're like, God, is this the one? Did you send her? She has these traits. She has that trait. She has this trait. But she's the one. So I'm gonna tell the story. My wife hopefully she doesn't kill me, but I'll tell the story anyway. Right?
Oh boy. Let me put this in big screen. Hold on.
Like we've been dating for a bit, right? We've been dating for a bit, and I had a car in the Dominican. Yeah. For some reason, my stupid behind didn't put gas in the car before picking her up. And it's not that I didn't have money. I had money because we were going out, but I didn't put gas in the car before picking her up. So I picked her up, and I'm like, okay, we could make it to the gas station, right?
Oh, no.
A block before the gas station, my car ran out of gas. I'm picking up my girl. She's in my car. My car ran out of gas. And I'm like, like, you guys know I sweat already from whatever. I started sweating and whatever. And then, she's like, okay, don't worry about it. I'll drive and you push, and we can get it to a safe place. Like, we were on a highway. I'll drive and you push. We'll get it to a safe place. Then we drove. She drove, and I pushed it to the side. Then another guy came and helped me push it to the side. Then I went with a gas tank. I got some gas, and then she, we filled it up, and then we just went on a date. Like, my hands smelled like gas and whatever. I just washed my hands. We just went on a date, and I was like, she the one. Like, I at that moment I knew, she's the one. That's it. There is no more.
All right,
right?
all right.
So
So maybe for our next show we'll be like, how do you know she or he is the
yeah,
one?
do
You
you
know, I
think
think
like
maybe we got to talk about maybe the signs that
right?
you can
But
kind
you
of see.
that and that's
You
the
know,
thing. If
if
you've been
she's
praying,
willing to push the gas and
if
you push the car,
if,
she's the one.
if you've been praying and you've been dating somebody and you've been praying and you know like God will show you something will happen that's gonna click and you're gonna be like, because remember, you gotta love this person forever,
Mm.
right? Like you gotta love this person forever. So you have to be able, regardless of sickness and health, till death do you part. But that not only that is that you renounce, and at
Yep.
every wedding, the pastor says this, you renounce every other person out there. You're
Yep.
sticking with this person forever. So now we can get into the benefits of
So
marriage. After you done prayed and did your due diligence, you can get into
yeah.
the benefits of marriage.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it. And I guess we'll throw in scripture right away so that we can kind of have something, to base off of.
That's right.
This can get super interesting. I mean, I'm just literally just gonna put 1 Corinthians 7 here. Y'all can go read the whole chapter. It talks literally about the principles of marriage. I think the first two verses here kind of indicate something interesting here. It says, "Now concerning the matters about which he wrote, it is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman." Obviously he's talking about there in terms of out of marriage, right?
Right,
So in
right,
terms
right,
of
right.
fornication and
He
that,
said
like that's what he's
in,
referring to.
in this version, the other version that I have says it is good for a man to be single, like to stay single,
Yes,
because, and then he
exactly.
explains why.
I want to show the scripture as it is so people can
Yeah,
understand also, in terms of interpretation. But verse 2 here it says, "But because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband."
right.
And then it literally gets into a lovely little contract there, which says the husband should give to his wife her conjugal rights. In other words, likewise the wife to her husband. In other words, the wife is the husband's and the husband is the
That's right.
wife.
They
And
belong
verse
to each
4
other.
literally says, "For the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. Likewise,
That's
the
right.
husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife
That's
does."
right.
And I guess in Tensor it says, "Do not deprive one another." It can keep going in there. But the
Like,
whole point here, I mean, there's various points here, but one that I can clearly make is that in our flesh, we are battling lust and sexual immorality, right? And so being single, if you can, because obviously, what Paul is saying here is kind of generalizing, the humanity, right? He's saying, you know what, guys, like, hey, 90% of y'all, this is what y'all are battling with,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And so are we capable of saying that a Christian single person can go on the rest of their lives without trying or attempting to get married? What do you think?
Well, Paul said, if this is given by God to you, because some people it is given. And
Yeah.
I've met people that like that. They're single their whole life and they don't struggle with sexual immorality because
Mm.
to them it is given to serve because the Bible says some people are made eunuch by man, which means
Yeah.
eunuch,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so others are made eunuch
So
by the service,
is
right?
that the key point there then? That they do not struggle with that lust. They don't struggle with that
Yeah,
temptation. They
God
don't.
has given them the ability to not need a person of the opposite sex to satisfy that
Yeah.
need. Like they
Yeah.
don't have that. And that is something that is given by God, not to everybody. It is
No.
given by God to some men, some women, in order for them to serve Christ and Christ alone. And I've
Yeah.
met people like that.
Yeah. And so, okay, so this doesn't necessarily indicate to us if it's bad or not to wait until your 20s or 30s or even 40s to get married, right? Like it's not indicating that. Is it really kind of how far you can go with this
Yeah.
battle?
Listen,
Like
no,
how
well,
far can you really be like, well,
but
you
you
know
don't,
what? Like,
but you don't want to get married because you're burning up. You do not want to do that. That
mm,
is a big mistake.
mm,
You get married because you're burning up inside. That is gonna you could marry the wrong person. You could
you
do it in a
could.
rush. You could do it the wrong way. Then you end up making a mistake. No, be single, enjoy your singleness, do your due diligence. But now, after you're married, then being married is a whole different
Yeah.
experience. It's a beautiful experience. So I can speak for myself that I enjoyed being single as much as I could. I enjoyed being single as much. Like I had so many friends of the opposite sex. I used to go to every concert, every church, every vigilia, every retiro.
Yeah.
I was in a group and we toured the country, the whole Dominican. I did so much stuff.
Yeah.
I went to Vegas, I went to Texas. I did a lot of stuff when I was
Vegas.
single. Yeah,
Vegas.
I went
Como.
everywhere. right? So I did a lot of stuff when I was single, right?
Bueno.
And then I said, you know what? Okay, it's time to settle down and find a bride because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do as a single person. So then I started praying and, looking, praying and looking. And, I found the one. So if you enjoy your singleness, like I don't regret a day of getting married. In fact, I was ready to get married a year, 1.5. But, my wife wasn't ready. Like I was ready because I was ready. So if you enjoy your singleness, you will be ready. And when God provides that person, you will be like, I have a cousin who met his wife and he got married. I think they dated for like 9 months or something. I would encourage it, but they've been married for 12 years now and they're going well. So when you finally married, like you can have that great marriage experience in Christ. And then at that point, if you enjoy your singleness, like it's way better to be married. If you find the one, and if you find a good Christian woman who's going to support you, a good Christian man who's going to support you, it is way better to be married because now, if somebody put in the comment, oh, it's the old ball and chain. No, it's not. It doesn't. No, exactly. It doesn't mean that you start. In fact, when you get married, that's when you start living to the fullest because there's certain things that you have to do. You have to send that text or whatever. But that's nothing compared to what you could feel and what you could enjoy when you're married. You no longer have to worry about the fuss and all that stuff. And you can use all your pickup lines on your wife. Some of them will work on others. She's just going to look at you funny, but at least
they'll grow on her. They'll grow on her.
Yeah, that's right. There's no shame. Like, when you're single,
Brenna told me today that she likes me. She's like, wow, like now you're really growing on me. I really like you.
You see that? There it is. There it is. There it is. Listen. So that happens.
There's two extremes. Before I start getting into what I think is the benefits, and I see marriage as an advantage as well. I just want to warn here, again, in between, getting into these two extremes, though, where it's like, you can be single and be happy with the Lord. It is true. Amen to that. Like you can live that life of yours.
But that is given by the Lord.
But I also don't want people to be unrealistic here and not have their minds or their hearts and their eyes on what can be a potential couple for you. Right. And so I see that extreme sometimes where they're like, I'm just bathing right now with my baby Jesus because he's my husband and he is my everything. And I was like, yo, when I hear that, it scares me. I mean, if you speak like that, yo, kudos to you. But I feel like it could lead to an extreme. Right. And then the other extreme is I'm nothing if I don't get married. Like I got people right now who are just like literally, depressed because they're not married and stuff like that. And I get it, in terms of feeling lonely and not being, I guess not having that companionship, but you got to remind yourself that you could still build some good friendships with other people. I mean, and I got to say, sometimes it also is a reminder to us in terms of where do you find your fulfillment?
That's
where do you find that you're complete? Can you find that complete everything in Jesus? Right. And so it's kind of like a balance, right? It kind of, I think, again, what I'm just trying to get to is to be careful to get to any of these extremes.
Yeah, you don't want to be an extremist, but like, and I keep saying this because there's a lot of single people that are watching us. Props up to our single people. Everybody who's single, enjoy your singleness. Somebody said you wake up at 50 and realize you actually wanted a partner.
Hey, it's not too late.
You can go get him. Go get him. If you enjoyed being single and then you decide, this is time for me to get married.
How old do you guys think Abraham is, man? He looks great.
I'm in my 20s plus 15 years experience. So, so if you enjoy that, right?
Yeah.
I always knew that I wanted to get married young, right? And I didn't get married that young. Like I got married at 25. That's not that young for some people for Dominican Christian standards. Is 20, 22, 23 to get married. It's young, right? Because you don't want to be burning out. But I waited and I enjoyed what I had to enjoy, and I did.
Oh, bro, you just mentioned a good point though, because we live in a mixed culture.
That's right. Culture is different.
Like you see, and so for example, I shocked people in high school when first of all I told them I'm not having sex until I get married. And second, when I said I want to get married young, and it was like, well, now you want to get married young because you want to have sex so badly. That's literally what they would say. And I was like, listen, it's just the way that I kind of grew up in terms of the culture. Like us being Dominicans, Like that's how you kind of just
You
saw
gotta
life.
get
It's
married
like,
young. Yeah,
you're leaving your home, and it's to be with somebody. Like I never,
that's right.
for me, I never considered leaving my home
By
to go
yourself. Yeah.
rent and live by myself. I
That
was
doesn't
like,
make no sense.
that wasn't
Yeah,
like, for me,
people do that, but
that's
yeah,
completely illogical for me. Like in terms of at least the relationship I had with my parents, in terms of them, they didn't ask for
they're
rent
not
and stuff
kicking
like
you
that.
out.
But hey, that this is the multicultural society that we live in, where there's different backgrounds with different thinking and schools of thought, and
That's
so
right.
we have to come to respect some of these things. And this is why I'm saying you got to be careful to just stick with one, kind of mentality. Because, for example, bro, growing up, it's true. Maybe I had in mind, Dominican, but I fell in love with an Ecuadorian, bro.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So if it's up, it's like if you all I'm saying is you do your due diligence, your marriage is gonna be a time of so much joy.
Yeah.
Like it's so, and I'm not saying that marriage is perfect or whatever, or that I have the perfect marriage. Absolutely not. I have a brownie point system that I employ, which is keeps me afloat. But like nobody has the perfect marriage. You're always gonna fight. You're always gonna get into it. The things, but you're not gonna be like the love is there. You're gonna have disagreements and all that other stuff. But you get from her, she gets from you, and it's great to be married. So I get we have a couple of minutes. Maybe we'll take a phone call. But to answer the question,
Yeah.
if you lived out your single life correctly, it is better to be married than to be single. Now, if you didn't live out your single life correctly, you will be miserable as married because you didn't live out your single life. That's like if you take
I
a,
mean,
a
there's grace
bottle
and
from a
mercy
baby.
everywhere. There's grace and mercy everywhere, bro. Like
I'm
I've
not saying,
seen, I mean, I've seen some people get fixed up, literally. Hey, how many of us are saying,
yeah,
what that girl needs is to get married, or what that guy needs is to get married?
but we don't.
You
But
hear those
I always,
expressions.
I
You hear
always
these
ask.
expressions,
I
and I was
always
like,
ask.
I don't
Like
know where
I
that's
always
coming
ask.
from. Why do you think people say that?
Because everything is related to marriage. Like
Yeah.
before, from in the Spanish culture, as soon as a girl got to a certain age and she was acting up and she was acting all crazy, what people consider crazy, like she need a man, or he
Yeah.
like even in in Canadian culture, they say when there's a teacher who's like older and whatever. Even the little kids, they say, "Oh, that she needs a husband or something." Like that. They say
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
that's just from people talking stuff. But what I'm saying is, if you enjoyed your single life, marriage is better. If you didn't, then you're gonna want to try to do what you should have done when you were single when you're married. And at that
Yeah.
point, it's already too late. You now married. Now you have to share your life with somebody else.
Yeah, bro, the way I see it is that there is beauty in both of them, but
There is a lot.
I do find that enjoying your single time is something that you don't necessarily have to rush. But if you are also being intentional in terms of going out there and looking, I'll be honest, man. I think you'll find options. Like I don't know. Maybe if yeah, I don't know. That's just my thought. Even
Yeah.
with all the Nazarene churches that are out there in terms of you know, I think there's options. I really
Listen,
do.
there's nothing wrong with interdenominational marriage. Like my wife and I are not from the same denomination. Like I'm telling you
Yeah.
that I used to visit every event. We listened to the radio, and it was a group of guys and me, and we went to every church event. Every church event that was popular, like I can't tell you how many times I've been to see Redimido and these Dominican rappers.
Yeah.
Like I've been to see so many artists that went down there. And you go to the concert and you just got your eye open. You got your eye open, and you're like, okay, let's see what's happening around here. Let's see, But pretty important that I forgot to say earlier. Apart from praying, doing your due diligence in terms of marriage, make sure your family has, not that they have a say. This is going to be controversial, but I'm a firm believer that if the parents don't agree to the marriage, you have to do all that you can in order to get them to agree. And if you prayed and God said yes, and your parents are still saying no, pray a little bit longer so that God convinces your parents. Because listen,
Yeah.
you have, like, my grandmother was a great judge of character, and when I took my wife to my grandmother was like, "Oh my God, don't marry Abraham. You're too good for him." And I said, "Grandma, she's the one, right?" Not that I used to bring everybody to my grandmother's house, but what I'm saying is that she was a great judge of character. And I tell you, if my grandmother said no, I didn't even continue with that. I would just say no. That's like, and so you have to. That's important for your
Look, bro,
family on both sides.
I think what you're speaking from is kind of this proverbial kind of experience and wisdom that exists out there, which is real.
Yeah,
You know, we have the book of Proverbs, which is full of wisdom and practical advice. Does it always come to fruition exactly as it is in Proverbs? It
not
doesn't.
always.
You know what
No,
the problem is sometimes is that we feel like we're that one exception. We feel like we can be that one exception that
nah,
Proverbs doesn't hit. You know,
that
and I
makes
gotta
sense.
be
Yeah,
honest, like, you know, you could be, but you know what? You're most likely not. Like that's, I mean, in terms of the numbers, you
it's
know, it's
very
like
rare.
you could be, but it's like even when I'm looking at the text, right, in terms of the individuals who choose to not get married, individuals who are able to, you know, by the grace of God, to say no to kind of the desires of their body, man, they're few. It's not a lot.
It's not a
And
lot.
so
No,
I, you know, I encourage, again, a lot of people that, you know, are single to keep their eyes open and to kind of just, you know, start kind of wondering, you know, what could that look like for you. Again, when I'm talking about advantages of marriage, man, for me, serving God was the best thing in terms of being single, but then now serving God alongside, you
yep.
know, being with my wife and being married, it's exponentially better. You know,
Different
it's
experience.
just it's a different experience. But it has to do with just this Christian life is not meant to be lived alone. You know, with that fundamental kind of aspect there, if you are able to find somebody, like how you guys were saying at 9 to 9, that you can kind of just mix in with your project and her project, like wow, you guys can create something so beautiful for God that I
Of
think out
course,
of that, everything else can flourish in terms of having
you
fun
have
with
to.
somebody, in terms of living, in terms of traveling, in terms of growing the family. Because that's another thing, man. I truly believe that, you know, God created our bodies, and I think we should be having children. I don't know. I think I'm from a thought of school, maybe that's it's old school, a school of thought that's old school, but like I truly believe that, you know, Christian folks, you know, who truly trying to find, you know, kind
Yeah.
of follow these Christian lifestyles. I don't know. I kind of see that,
Some people, I mean,
you know,
that
some
might be a
people.
topic. That might be a
It's
topic for the show.
interesting.
Like, is it a
It
sin
is. It is.
to decide not to have kids? And
I
there's a
mean,
lot in
I
that.
know some people
So
can't have kids and stuff like that, and like I totally get that, but you know, I'm not
I
giving any hints to Brenda or anything like
you
that,
just
but
give
you
it
know,
hits.
just
You know, you gotta have children. But what, like, listen, it you have to. You can
we got a
enjoy.
call coming in. We got a call coming in.
Who is it? Put her through.
Yes, this is my beloved brother. Brother, are you there?
All right, guys, I'm here. I'm here.
Awesome.
I'm listening
Abraham,
to
can
the
you hear
great.
him?
I can hear him, but I don't know if he can hear me.
Yes, I think he can.
Yeah,
Marcos,
I
can
can
you
hear
hear
you. I
Abraham?
can hear you. Yep, I can hear you both.
Who?
Awesome, man.
This is Mark E, the Eagle. Okay.
Yes. What's up, man? What are your thoughts?
Oh, this is great discussion. I can only tell you from our story a little bit.
Are
I
you
mean,
single or married? Sorry.
I am married. I am happily married. It's going to be
How,
15 years in May.
how
Wow.
many brownie
So
points you got right now,
I'm.
Marks?
What's that?
How many brownie points you got right now? You up in the thousands?
No, I don't believe in the brownie point system, but I'm sure I'm
Ah,
collecting some right now.
Talk to us. Keep talking to us.
No, you know, Bev and I came back, came, came from different backgrounds on this. I mean,
Mm.
I can only speak for mine at the moment, but you know, like Abraham said, I used to go to different youth events with
Mm.
friends and, you know, got to know a lot of people and got to make a lot of friends over the years. And, you know, I dated here and there, and, you know, we can go through the pros and cons of
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
I was always serving the Lord throughout all of that, and just making sure that my heart was in check. But you know, that's one way of enjoying your singleness. And Bev, on the other side, she didn't really date at all.
Mm.
She was
she was waiting
waiting
for you.
for whoever
She's
God, you know, provided for her, and she was serving the Lord.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah, she had options. Yeah, she
Mm.
had a bunch of guy friends, and that's how we met.
That's how you're
Wow.
So
supposed to do it.
That's
you know,
interesting.
we had
So,
common guy friends.
so you're saying like you were, and you know what? This is also representative, though. I think of the society still. I mean, it's changing because I mean, it also has to do with kind of equality and everything like that. But you know, I'm from the school of thought still that, you know, guys are the ones kind of out there, you know, looking and kind of trying
Yeah,
to see.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm a guy. Maybe that's where I'm coming from.
I'm
And,
from that school too. Like I had
and
my own game. I didn't need like, and it's not like we can talk about that after. Should a girl go after a guy?
yeah, I
And
mean, I don't
that
see
might be
anything
a
wrong
thing.
with that. I don't see anything wrong with
There's
that. But
nothing wrong with it.
it looks like Marcos was being at least a little bit intentional in that, right? Right, brother?
Yeah, I was a little bit more intentional about it. I mean, I kept my mind open a bit
Yeah.
about that, but at the same time, I didn't want to just date to date. I as
Yeah,
I grew a little
And
older, I said,
very interesting.
I do want to find the partner in life.
here's the thing:
I do want to find
one
that.
of you guys have to be intentional with it. Like either you or Beverly had to be intentional.
Yeah,
Like
somebody, of
I,
course.
I don't see a relationship happening when two people just kind of bump, into each other and say, hey,
Somebody has
like,
to make a move. Somebody
like
has to
you
make
have
a
to
move.
make a move.
Yeah,
Exactly.
somebody has to make a move.
Well,
I
I
almost want
mean,
to ask Marcos
on
what was the
making the
move, but
move, I mean, Bev will have her side of the story, and I have mine. But
yeah,
at the
yeah.
end of the day, I think we both came from different perspectives on the issue, but God was guarding our hearts on both sides. And
So, do you think it's
to go
better to be
along a little
single?
bit on the comment earlier about some people are still single because they're picky. That is true.
Yeah.
I can only speak from my experience. I always said, and I don't want to offend anybody out there, but I didn't grow up in the at least in my teenage years in the Spanish culture. I grew up in the Anglo culture, and
Mm.
and I always said I would never marry a Spanish girl. Like I just
Oh my
that's not
gosh.
gonna happen.
Gotcha.
And
Wow.
Tú no
I
sabes lo
ended
que es
up marrying the
bueno.
most Ecuadorian Spanish girl that I could find in the church. So I mean,
Woo!
you never say never to God, because God has a funny way of
You
saying,
see,
"Really?
That's right.
Okay."
and that's that extreme that I don't think we can get to in any
Yeah,
topic that I think we're talking about. Like there needs to be, you need to give God the chance to do things that you've never even thought of, kind of
that's right.
thing.
So Mark,
Absolutely.
before you go, is it better to be single and mingle or married and bonded?
Well, that's a great question. I don't have an answer to that. It's great. It's great to be married. Absolutely,
Mm.
1000%. But in God's timing, you will be married. So
Wow.
you enjoy your singleness with the
100%.
Lord. Let Him lead your
That's
heart, and
right.
then when it's time, He will put you with the right person.
That's
There we
awesome,
go.
brother. You spoke
There
wisdom tonight, man. Appreciate the call. Love the story, and I think we
All right,
gotta.
guys. God bless. Love
We,
you all.
yeah, man. You have a
Listen,
good one. Hey,
you
we
know,
gotta hear one day what was Marcos's move though, and maybe we hear Beverly's
you gotta
take
have,
on it, and then we got Marcos's
you
take.
gotta have a move. You gotta have everybody's gotta have a move. But you know what? The picky thing is people being picky. I believe people have the right to be picky. I believe that. Like you have the right to be picky. Now,
I
like
mean,
now, if you believe in leagues, like don't be picking way out of your league. Now, again, I don't believe in leagues. That's not something I believe in. I believe any man can get any woman if he has the right game. I don't believe in leagues. Like I don't think like, oh, she's out of my league or whatever. Like my wife is way out of my league. I just got game. I just no me queda muela allá atrás, bro. Like the treatment of this, the treatment of that. Like this thing about leagues and all that stuff. No, but you have the right to be picky. If you want her this way, that way, that way, that way, you have the right to be picky. Now make sure all your pickiness is not attached to physical, okay? Because physical changes. Physical
it
changes.
does.
Make
It
sure your
does.
pickiness is not attached to physical. Like,
Yeah.
if you say, well, I want a woman with red hair, she might be redheaded, but when you marry her, she might dye it pink or yellow or blue or something. And then you're like, you have to,
That's
you have to
wild.
be picky. You have to be picky.
I
It's your
think you know what
person,
I
right?
don't know if the word picky is the right one. I
Picky
think
is the right word.
that's
This
where
is the
I
person.
feel like
This is the
struggling with,
person.
picky.
Christina said you should be picky. You're picking a partner for life. This is the person you spend the rest of your life with. You gotta love them.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
be. You got
But
to
you know
be
what?
picky.
But I think sometimes we scare people with that. We say, "Hey, well, they're gonna be your life partner. Like, you better pick good and stuff like that." And I think we forget to
That's
show the
not a
grace but it's truth. But the
grace. That's not
grace
a
and
scare
mercy.
tactic.
But but it could kind of be used as it, because I feel like sometimes some people can take it as like too much fear, and they think that they need to find the perfect person. And like that's not gonna happen. Like you need to find somebody whom you're willing to go through the hard times with. Like
You
and
got
honestly,
listen.
a lot of times it's your choice. It's your decision to say, you know what, I chose this person, and even in obedience, to God in terms of His word, like I'm gonna stay loyal. Like, yo, how many people like you see out there that out of like literally it could be anything, like out of
Yeah,
anything they end their
they want to
relationships
separate.
or
Yeah,
they
yeah,
want to
yeah.
separate. And I'm like, yo, like where's your loyalty to God though? You know, what
Right.
about that aspect to it,
You know,
right?
somebody said, and this, probably happens or not happens in Christian marriages, but somebody said marriage is falling in and out of love, right? At some, like, you gonna hear it. You gonna hear your wife gonna say, I don't like you, I love you, but I don't like you right now.
Yeah, Brenda
Like,
likes me today. I don't know about
she,
yesterday.
you understand what I mean? But that commitment to God is important. If you, like, my wife and I, we had this conversation before we got married, and we decided, we talked about divorce was not an option. Like, whatever it is, we'll get through it. And we've been through some serious stuff. But like, when you get through something, because the trial will come, but after you get through that hump, the love is bigger. And after you get to the other hump, the love is bigger. You get to the other hump, the love is bigger, and the love just get bigger. Like, I don't, like, right now in the stage of my life where I'm right now, I don't see a trial that could come that could mess us up. Hopefully, God doesn't test me, but I'm gonna love her forever, and that's the commitment that you have to make, regardless of what happens. With their body, regardless of what happened with their health, regardless of what happened, you're gonna love them forever. That's why my son is saying, be selective and picky. Yes, it's a lifetime commitment. Is a commitment forever. Make sure you pray and ask for all the signals in the world. Like, put some cotton outside and be like, God, if the cotton is wet and the rest of the yard is dry, this person, do your due diligence. Make sure you meet the in-laws. I don't know how people get married, never met the in-laws. Like, how your mother-in-law or your father-in-law is not the devil in the flesh. Like, no, make sure you do your due diligence. Do everything you need to do.
Lord have mercy. Hey, these aren't scare tactics, though.
No, they're not.
We're gonna talk them up to wisdom.
I would prefer
wisdom and experience.
I would prefer to scare somebody out of marriage than to have them married and then realize what a mistake they made. Like, my dad called my wife a couple of days before we were going to get married, and he said, "Are you sure you want to marry her? This is your opportunity to pull back." Right? Because a lot of people in the church, especially, they already presented me before the church. I already spoke to the pastor. I already did all that stuff, but they have cold feet and they don't want to say. Right? They don't want to say, the wedding is already, the deposit is already in, the photographer is already paid for, all these things. Like, we already spent $80,000, and I don't feel like
they're thinking about it twice at night.
And they're thinking about it, man. If you have doubts, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you, because after then you have to deal with the divorce and all this, and it just gets complicated. Make sure whoever it is that you are with, you love them forever. Marlene is saying, as a Latina woman, I was brought up with the saying, marry someone who loves you more than you love them. I can honestly say now it makes sense. There's more to do it. And I have a twist to that, is you have to marry someone who loves God more than you and who loves you more than you love them. But if everybody says that, you have to be the equivalent, the love has to be there, but you got to have game. Like, all those single guys out there, you got to have game.
And again, every relationship is different. Every single relationship is different.
Single one's different.
There are things that, I see in older couples that they're literally still learning about themselves that maybe for Brenda and I, it clicked right away, but vice versa. There's things that, we haven't experienced, for example, being parents. And here, I really like the comment that, Claribel says here. She's like, honestly, once you have kids, you will tell yourself, how did I live without them? They bring so much joy to your life. And I think that is kind of that's kind of the concept, though, sometimes that I feel like we ought to have. Is like, you know what, you've been single for X amount of years, that's good, but you know what, like, there's also these other things that God can give you in terms of these blessings and experiences.
Hopefully there's somebody out there who's been married for 30 or 40 years. All I want to know is, does it get easier with the comments that you could make? Like, I've been married 15 years. There's still certain comments that I can't make. But I've seen some old folks be married. Like, I've seen some old folks be like, hey, you know what? You don't look good, and just take it off. Like, and the wife is okay with it. And, she would tell him, go take a shower, you stink, or like stuff like that. And, does it get better? Somebody who's been married for 30 years or 40 years, just let me know. Because, I lose a lot of my brownie points with my mouth. Like, I say a lot of stupid stuff and I get in trouble. So, but the love is there. The love is there. You have to have it. If you're single, enjoy your singleness. And when you're ready, start praying, find somebody good, get married and experience. You know how, listen, you know how good it is, and it's cold and it's freezing outside. You get under those covers, man, and just hug it out, and it's just warm in there.
Mm, mm.
Singles
Hey
people
man,
can't do that. So
with the
go for it.
pandemic, come on now.
Yeah, with the
You telling me
pandemic.
even like your friends can't even visit you, you know? But when you're married in the
Yeah, bro.
pandemic, you
Ah,
know, it's beautiful.
chacho.
It's beautiful. Hey, but listen, Alex Zurdo in that song, Del Sapo, algo así, he says, hey, don't find yourself a man that just
No,
opens the door for you,
that's
but
right.
find a
That's
man that
right.
also opens the Bible. And I thought that was some deep. He says it in Spanish. It rhymes super nice.
How long
But
you gotta
guys,
how long you gotta open the doors for? Just before we go though, how long you gotta open the doors for? Stephanie's saying she's telling Isidro go take a shower now.
hey
Yeah, you can
man,
say
if I
you
don't
can,
open up the doors for Brandon, if that door slams on Brandon, I'ma hear it.
yeah, you gonna
I'ma
hear it.
hear some of
You
that.
gotta open up those doors. I mean, it gets
The
easier after
question
a
is,
while.
when is Brandon gonna open the door for me?
But bro, you gotta keep opening that door. So Stephanie,
Okay.
you're telling Isidro go shower. Can he say it back? Can he say it back? And we're gonna have to talk about this after, but if
Hey man,
married, listen, marriage is great, singleness is great. You got to enjoy both stages. If you don't, you're going to regret both stages.
guys, subscribe. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at the Bendito Show. Come on now, we're all locked down at home. It's great to be having these conversations. As always, if you don't know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, this is really a segue into that. We are nothing without Him. He's our Savior, our Lord, and reach
That's
out to
right.
us if you want to know more about that. But we're out for today, bro.
That's right. For
I mean,
somebody,
I'm gonna go be with my wife now.
from someone who is married and a widow, I gotta do chores and all that stuff. But I can honestly say I miss it. I would definitely recommend to everyone getting married in God's time. That's how it is. If you pray for a specific person, be intentional in your prayer. How you want your husband? Yes, up to the smile. If you want pearly white teeth, no problem. If you're okay with a little yellow, no problem. Like not everybody like pearly white. Not everybody
Mm.
like tall people. Some people like short people. Some people like bald people. Some people like chubby. Some people like buff. Some people don't need a big chest, to lie on at night. Like you know what it is. So not everybody likes
You know
what
what
the
it is.
not everybody likes what the media says they
Hey,
should like. That's how it is. This is
that's
the
right,
Bendito
folks.
Show.